It might make logical sense in that regard, but doesn't mean I can tolerate them to any degree. I think that makes sense. Basically, I'm not saying that you must have characters like this or you should never have characters like this. If it fits, if you feel like you can do it right, and if you want it in the first place, go ahead, do it. But just because those three categories are true and you do it, doesn't mean people necessarily like them. I find Kira, she's just always angry and grouchy, but the chick that replaces her in this next one just is just frothing at the mouth. And I will probably take off my headset when we're listening to her dialogue. Yeah, she just reminds me of people I know, and she just hits sore nerves. I know I go on a tangent in my original Path of Exile Fall of Oriate playthrough, talking about her. So, if you want, I'm sure I covered it fine there. Um, if you're interested, you can go watch that. Just find the Fall of Oriate videos and search for Tangent. I think there's two tangents in the Fall of Oriate series, an earlier one and a later one. Check the later one. Basically, if a video is marked as tangent, that means I talked about a point that's secondary to the game for much longer than I intended. Some things are tangents but aren't marked as such. When I was firstly establishing the series, I just called it other thing. Establishing the thing, I called it other things, like beating a dead horse. Though in the case I'm thinking of, I called it pulping a dead horse because I was thinking of Dwarf Fortress. And like when you beat a thing enough in that, you pulp it. So I felt that that's how much I was beating that horse, was after getting pulped. Actually, speaking of that, I really do want to play Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead. It's an awkward game to play due to, well, it's kind of a Dwarf Fortressy kind of thing, insofar as controls and aesthetics. I think the controls are easier, but it's in that vein, you know. So it is a bit more. It is more user friendly than Dwarf Fortress, or player friendly, but still, that's not saying much. Dwarf Fortress isn't very player friendly. You might get into it and whatnot after a bit, but it's like hitting your head off a brick wall trying to get into it, and the music doesn't help. I remember having it on before for ages, and I had a headache after listening to it. It's just the same like 5 notes again and again and again. Ugh. And it's just like it's a very short jingle, and it's just whatever it sounds like, and just repeated constantly. It just does my head in. So, where was I? Oh yeah, I was saying about Akira and the chick that replaces her next thing are really annoying. I was saying, if it fits, if you want them, all that, go ahead, have the characters. Doesn't mean people necessarily like them. It just, I feel that if my condemnations of the characters might come off that I feel that you should never have them. No, go ahead. Sure, why not have them? But it just, I will bitch about them because they fucking irritate me. Um, I do want to do Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead, but it's a bit of an awkward game to play. I might start recording it at some stage and see if I can get into it there. Um, and the music-wise, what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to. I was watching another Let's Play of it, and they have some music they use in it, and the music just has kind of on a certain level become associated with that game for me. It really fits the game. So I think I might actually borrow from their playlist. It's all stuff from Incomputech. That's why I'm so willing to use that music. Um, so yeah, I'll probably do that. Of course, when will I get around to Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead? I have no clue. It's on the list I need to write out, but it's up in the air as to when I'll get around to it. So, yeah. Expect it at some stage, I'm sure, but don't expect it like tomorrow. Don't expect it next month or whatever. As of time of recording, it's not on the horizon. I have too much other things to get into, and I just don't have the itch for it. But yeah, basically, just back to the characters. Some things like just there's just some people you just can't get along with. It's just some character things that just really just irritate me. So, and the same with people, you know. Just some things it's just like you want to have in your thing, fine, but it just doesn't sit right with me. Like just the what the character says just pisses me off or whatever. So, just I know I'm reiterating my point a bit too much, but basically the reason why I'm doing so is because I know I just feel like I'm just worried that people take my point wrong. I'm always paranoid about how my points are being phrased. Because like I'll say things and it's explicitly clear to me. Basically, I remember there was a survey done by a group, and it came back rather negative. Basically, they were doing a survey on a particular group. I'm going to remain a bit vague here, and it came back rather negative. But people were saying that the negativity wasn't born of a bias against the group. In fact, the people doing the survey had actually been biased in favor of the group on numerous occasions prior, though they weren't. No example was given. I was saying about this to a friend, and I was thinking that maybe it's like this other group, how they had censored things in that group's favor, or in a similar way. Maybe the first group had done a similar thing. Maybe that's the bias they were talking about in favor of the other group. The friend just couldn't get that. He was wondering, how does that connect? When I was, positing maybe this bias was the same kind of thing the first group was doing. Just couldn't follow. Maybe I poorly said it. Maybe he was just distracted and didn't hear it. I don't know, but I've always just kind of, with that and other things, I've just felt like, am I even being coherent? It could have obviously been more him than me, but I have a tendency to assume it's me. So, yeah, like I said, it's, if you want to have those characters, it fits, you want to have them, and you can do it well, I see no problem with you doing so. But it doesn't mean I'll necessarily like the character. It might fit, it might make sense. It might make sense that, Joe Blow, who's been abused in horrific ways, is a bit of a cunt and a psychopath and killing people. Doesn't mean I'll necessarily like the character. It might make sense that he's that way, but I might necessarily like them. It might make sense that a chick raised in a matrilineal society utterly holds men in absolute contempt, especially given the chick in the second part was raped. But it might, make sense. But it doesn't mean I'll necessarily like the character. So, yeah. To be honest, I feel that's a very self-explanatory thing. But again, like the other thing, I felt that was self-explanatory. But I feel, but again, I'm worried of a repetition where it just won't come across. So if that's the case with this or any other point I'm making, just ask me to explain it in the comments. I'll try and rephrase it. Sometimes I am better at wording things via text than speaking. I find my ability to communicate is better via writing. So, I'm a little addled as a person, probably because of the shit I've gone through. So, text is a good way of getting around that. And to be honest, he's the trained soldier, and she's. I would make a crack chick with her rack out, but to be fair, he's dude with his pecs out. True enough, no one can really be trusted with such a power. Everyone has their faults and foibles. There's everyone has a darker side. Such a power is too much for any one person. Even the person with the most noble of aspirations, even leaving aside their faults, could lead down a bad path with that much power. It's very possible for a hero to turn into a totalitarian dickhead. You know, they want justice, they want safety, security, and they do so by clamping down on people's free will. Regrettably, to have the good, most healthiest thing, from what I've gathered, is you kind of have to roll with the punches. Free will, in it, while it does come with its dangers and its negative things, free will is a good thing. You have to just roll with the punches that it delivers. Otherwise, it's just leading to a bad thing of its own variety. So these will start selling jewels soon, gems soon enough. So let's go have a look here and talk to you, because this is the Delving Master. The entrance to the mines is blocked by a Desherate seal. It is pretty cool with all the blades and weaponry as part of the blockage. That is pretty cool. Not sure what to make of him yet. Not simultaneously a friendly chappy and not. Yeah, the Cyan has lines on the wiki that we didn't really hear here, referencing actually knowing of the nightmare and hearing the whispers and stuff like this, or whatever. That is true. mean, it's still a thought. It's just a thought fetus. This is here, and we learned that there's blackguards and co up here on the mountains with a teleport rig set up, which is kind of again weird. Like how why haven't they attacked the Marquette from this side? Because it leads right into the Marquette's leader's room. It sounds like a good place to assault. Maybe it's a little narrative dissonance, but again, I feel like some of the additions kind of lead to potholes. And again, maybe that's just part of the nightmare. Remember the idea that this is all part of the dream? That like the nightmare stuck in a dream? Oh, yeah.